Hey horse lovers, welcome back to Free Spirit Equestrian. This video is going to be extremely informational and educational, and I cannot wait to share all of my saddle fitting knowledge with you. So I got a brand new saddle from Black Country that we're going to be opening together. I have not even seen it yet. I am so excited. And then we are going to be doing a full saddle fitting on my heart horse, Jiminy Cricket. I am a certified professional saddle fitter, and I did go to school. I was in a very intense 6-month program that's based out of South Carolina in the US, and it was an amazing experience. I wanted to do that so that I could not only help all of my horses and the horses that I take in, but also assist clients. Now, I only do this on the side and in a local area because I'm so busy with all my other endeavors, but I do love it and I stay up to date on all my saddle fitting knowledge and information, and I always try to continue my education in this area. So today you're going to get to experience what I would do for a client, and of course I'm going to be doing it for my own horse, Jiminy Cricket, because we're going to see if our new saddle is going to work out or not. Okay, so here it is. Looking forward to this so much. And I got my saddle fitting tools and everything here. I'm gonna do my tracings. I got my wool in case I need to do some flocking adjustments. So let's do it. Also, I am wearing my brand new boots that I got from Lisa. Look at these, they're so pretty and comfortable. I'm obsessed with these. Oh my gosh, so pretty. All right, now it's time to unbox this saddle. I cannot wait to see what it looks like. Okay, see what it looks like. It is so pretty. Look at this. This is the Dante model from Black Country. This saddle is amazing. So it has beautiful leather, it has silver welting on it, and then it's really cool because the panels, they're felt. So I do like leather panels as well, but I do like felt because it doesn't mold as easily. And this is beautiful, high quality leather, and I'm really excited to try it out today. So hopefully it'll be a good fit for Jiminy Cricket. We're gonna see. All right, so this is Jiminy Cricket. He is my 22-year-old, well, he turns 22 in May, year-old Appaloosa gelding. Look at his cute halter. And he is a horse that we are fitting today. So I do have his exercise boots on today because obviously we're gonna tack up and head out. Normally I don't do that, but I'm going to today just because I wanna protect his legs from the mud because it's been really bad and we're gonna ride in the sand. Otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of boots, but we're gonna do it. All right, buddy, you ready? So first, what I'm going to do is palpate his back for any soreness. Now, obviously they're gonna move a little bit. And sorry, my hands are dirty. Of course, they're gonna move a little bit because you're pressing on their withers, but I usually run my whole hand down this muscle and a little on the sides. So the longest muscle in the horse's back is the longissimus dorsi, okay? And that's basically what I'm palpating. And you want to be gentle. You don't want to anybody who pushes really hard is going to get a response from the horse. He used to be really, really sensitive on his back. And that's because I was ignorant and I didn't know anything about saddle fitting. And I wasn't riding him in proper saddles before. So he did have a little muscle memory pain in the beginning, even when I knew I had a good saddle on him, but now it's dissipated quite a bit. So that's good. I'll also feel just around the scapula as well, and the trapezius and both sides. And he's palpating well, so he looks good there. Now, he's shedding like crazy, everybody is. Yay, spring! Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do his tracings first. It's very, very important that the horse is standing square, which that means that the horse is balanced on all 4 hooves. So that way you can properly get the most accurate tracings. Okay, that's very important. And the horse might move quite a bit. That's normal. That is honestly the hardest part about the tracings, is getting the horse to stand still and stand square throughout the duration of that process. Okay, I'm also going to look at how he's standing and his overall posture. So I'll kind of stand like this and look dead on. Looks pretty good. Before, Jiminy used to be very goat on the hill, so his back legs, his hindquarters would be way underneath him. We've been working on improving his posture through rehabilitation exercises, and rehab, like he doesn't have an injury, but just exercises to help strengthen him and benefit and improve his posture. His overall conformation is pretty good because he's a little bit older. He does have a little more curve to his back, not a sway back or anything. And he's always had a little more curve to his spine. But as he gets older, the curve is a little bit more pronounced. So we just want to make sure that we have a tree that's sitting on him flat, which I will show you once we get to the saddle portion. So this is my flexible tracing tool. It's what I'm going to use to get the measurements on Jiminy. And then basically I will transfer my tracings over to this folder. Let's get started with his tracings. He's standing square. I'm not going to move him over just because he is standing pretty square right now. So the first tracing I'm going to get is his scapula, his shoulder. This is the scapula right here. And we're going to start right there. I'm going to make sure that my tracing tool is right in the middle at 12. We're going to do that. And I'm going to press firmly because I want to get an accurate tracing. And then I pick the tool up, I walk it over. Now you can see he's a little more developed on his right side than he is his left, so that's just something to be aware of. Most horses are asymmetrical on one side, but it's usually just by a little bit. So I've seen a lot of tracings in a lot of horses, so my eye is a little bit more developed at looking at asymmetries. Jiminy is pretty symmetrical overall, but I do see a little bit more development on that right side. Now we're gonna do the tree point area. So obviously this is one of the most important tracings, and again, just make sure your horse is standing square. Now, how you find where you measure the tree point area. This is a scapula. So you wanna run your finger gently until you find the tip of the scapula, which is the caudal aspect, which essentially means the end of it. Then you're gonna take about 2 to 3 fingers and go this way, and that's where your tree point area is. So caudal aspect, tip of the scapula, right about there. Jiminy is about a medium wide when it comes to measurement. So I base that off of the tracings, and then I also use my measuring tool, my gauge, which we'll do at the end of the tracings. The next tracing I'm gonna do is the base of the wither. Another very important tracing is the top line. We'll do that next. So you wanna start up by the wither and then down the spine. And again, be gentle because you're pressing on their spine.
Mushu over here is being very distracting. He's itching his chest against the wall. I'm going to be doing some work with him after the saddle fitting, so he's just hanging out in the stall, a little bit of training, and he is just such a goofball. Oh, Mushy, Mushy, Mushy.
Sir, we are trying to do a professional saddle fitting video. If you could just like not distract everybody, that would be great. Okay. So this bump here is more so from my tool. This isn't 100% perfect, okay? Nothing's gonna be perfect when you're using tools and all of that. However, these are very helpful. And tracings are extremely important because they show you things that you cannot see with your naked eye. And they really show you what tree shape your horse is, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit later as well. But you always wanna do tracings, okay? Our last tracing is gonna be T18. Okay, so horses have ribs, correct? The last rib is right here. So T18, the thoracic region, I know, is the thoracic region. Once you go past T18, you then go into the lumbar region, which is essentially floating ribs, okay? So the issue with that is, and the importance of getting the tracing of T18 and knowing where it is because you have a saddle panel, and I'm gonna show you what that is and how it sits on the horse. If that saddle panel goes past T18, you're in the red zone, what we refer to as saddle fitters. and essentially you're going into the lumbar region, okay? So the floating ribs. Now the floating ribs are covered with a bunch of really deep muscle. However, if you keep putting pressure on that area continuously over time, you're going to cause soreness and a lot of pressure points, and it's not gonna be good. Okay, so here you have his tracings, and everything looks pretty good. We're gonna use the gauge to get a little bit better measurement of his tree point area. I also wanna say it is extremely, extremely important that you are working with a professional certified saddle fitter. I am showing you this process just to put out that information and knowledge, but don't think that you can just do these measurements on your horse and go find a saddle and everything's gonna be fine and dandy. You still need to be working with a professional. It took me a long time, and it's still taking me a while to learn all of the components. Saddle fitting school was very intense, and it took a long time. Like I told you, it was a 6-month program. You wanna understand, just because you're watching saddle fitting videos or reading books does not make you a professional saddle fitter, okay? And I'm just saying that because it's such an important topic. So just be conscientious of that and always work with a professional. Now we're gonna use our little gauge here just to get a better idea. So again, the tree point area, you wanna be able to fit 2 to 3 fingers, but you want these lined flat. So that's about good. And as you can see, he's medium wide. This is just a little WinTech gauge. I just use this just sort of like a double check. Okay, so this saddle is medium wide, so that is the gullet measurement in the front. And we're gonna see if this is gonna work for Jiminy. So what we did is we ordered the saddle based off of his shape, and I had done tracings prior, but I always do them again once I get the saddle, just in case anything has changed. And then you do what's called a static evaluation and a trial on the saddle, which is what we're doing today with this one. So I'm gonna set it on his back, and what a static fitting means is we're just looking at how the saddle fits from a standing standpoint. So essentially just from the ground without riding, okay? And we just wanna make sure we do that. You also can have a really good saddle that fits from a static standpoint, but then it doesn't fit when you're under saddle. So you wanna make sure you're doing both to get an accurate read if the saddle is a good fit or ill fitting.
Proper saddle placement is huge. You want to put the saddle where the tree point area is, where I showed you, about 2 to 3 fingers behind the caudal aspect of the scapula. I see so many saddles that sit way too far forward on the horse.
So from the tree point standpoint, I'm able to fit a few fingers on the sides and at the top of the pommel. Everybody forgets about the sides. You still want to have wither clearance on the top and on both sides of the horse, okay? And I'm going to kind of rock it back and forth. There is a little bit of bridging right here. Just right here, I'm feeling it. So you want the saddle panel to lie evenly across the horse's back. So right there, I feel a little bit of breaching. So we're gonna check that out a little bit more. Now let's see if this goes past T18 or not.
What I also do is check both sides of the saddle, and I run my hand down the front part to make sure that it's even, there's no pressure points, and that we have fluidity. I also check both sides for bridging on the panels. You want the panel to lie even and flat on both sides without any breaching, so the saddle does not sit directly on the horse's spine.
And what we can do where it's breaching a little bit, we can add a little bit of flocking. Otherwise, it's sitting very nice on him. You have the cantle that's slightly higher than the pommel. That's what you want, and the seat is level and parallel to the ground. So of course this saddle is brand new, so it's gonna take a little bit of time to settle in and the flocking to settle. So you want to take that into consideration. But from a static viewpoint, I'm gonna add a little bit of flocking to that area that's breaching. And then what we'll do is go for a ride and see how it's fitting him under saddle as well. Now there is so much that goes into the fitting process. I'm just kind of giving you the 101 saddle fitting information and just showing you what I was going to do with Jiminy today. Regardless, there are so many details when it comes to saddle fitting, and I will be doing more of those videos in the future. So because the saddle is on trial today, what we're going to do is go ahead and tack up, and then if I feel like it's going to be a good fit, then I'm going to cut flocking holes into the saddle because there isn't any yet because it's brand new, and then we're going to go for a ride and see how this is going to work for Mr. Jiminy Cricket here. All right, so I'm going to be riding in my ECP saddle pad today. These are my favorite English saddle pads, and this is a quilted one. I like this one because it has 4 chambers. If you needed to add shims to the front or back, you have the option to do that.
Earlier, we were talking about the importance of T18, which is essentially actually the last vertebrae, but you find it by locating the last rib. Now, this is very important because you don't want the saddle panel to go past T18 because it's then in the lumbar region. Looks so good. And I'm gonna add the stirrups on here. Now, this is a mono flap, okay? So there's not a double flap, there's only one. And it looks so nice. The bridging seems a little bit better. So yeah, it's looking really good, and I'm leaving the tag on because we got to make sure that it's a good fit under saddle too. We're going to talk a little bit about tree shapes. So there are three most common types of tree shapes, and they typically are a standard A-frame, which is what Jiminy is. There's hoop tree, which is like a big U, and then there's keyhole as well. And of course, this is just speaking generally. There are a bunch of different types of trees. I could go on and on about this, and of course you have the gullet size, measurement, all types of different aspects. But again, I'm just going over the key basics and doing my saddle fitting for Jiminy and showing you the process. Okay, we are ready to rock and roll and head to the outdoor arena. And let's see how this saddle is gonna work for Jiminy and myself, because the rider is very important too when it comes to saddle fitting. It's not just the horse. Yes, exactly. Another aspect of proper saddle fit is your channel. So you should be able to see all the way through the horse's spine, a clear tunnel, so that there's enough clearance. And you want your channel to be wide enough as well. Now, some thinner horses or narrow horses like a thoroughbred can have a smaller channel, but on average, you want a pretty wide one. Also super random, but look at this heart-shaped puddle. Isn't that cute? Now we will be doing our under saddle evaluation. So typically I would watch clients ride in all three gaits if possible. So I just got on Jiminy. It is a little bit wet out here today, but we are gonna go ahead and walk, trot, canter just to see how the saddle works for him and how it fits me as a rider as well. So right now we're just going at the walk. I'm making sure that the saddle isn't moving all over the place, but that it has enough movement so it doesn't develop pressure points. You want a little bit of suspension. Okay, so far at the walk, it's feeling pretty good. Very comfortable. I really like it so far, but we're gonna see how the trot and canter feel because that's very important. The saddle felt really comfortable and good at the walk. However, when I moved into the trot, I felt as though I was being restricted with my posting position. The knee rolls were blocking my knee, and I felt as though I was being thrown into a chair seat, and I couldn't really get in alignment and on my plumb line. I did play around with my stirrup length. I lengthened my stirrups, I shortened them. It didn't matter. I just really couldn't get that proper momentum or movement and be able to get into the right posting position. Now, this is a mono flap saddle, and the flap is really long and I'm pretty short, which was a concern of mine right when I saw the saddle. And the saddle is a 17.5, and I go in and out of a 17.5 depending on the brand and the model. And my 17 is a little bit too small for me with this specific brand, but this is a different model, so I went with a 17.5, and I think that is really causing some issues there. So the flap is too long for my leg. I felt a lot better in the canter, so that was better than the trot, but I just still felt as though I was being a little bit restricted with the knee rolls and the blocks. So we're just gonna have to see how it goes. I'm gonna continue to ride in it a little bit longer, but I really am not liking how my trot looks. And every horse is different, every saddle is different, and this is why it is so important to ride in the saddle, not only for determining the fit of the horse, but the rider too. Now, I do feel like this is a pretty good fit for Jiminy. I think I'm coming down on the cantle quite a bit because, again, it's putting me in that chair seat. And like I said, I like it at the canter. I feel pretty comfortable, but I just don't think that this saddle is the right fit for me, unfortunately. And I really do like the saddle in general. It's wonderful quality and it's beautiful, and I think it's excellent and it's great for Jiminy, but I think I need something different because I'm going to cause pressure points on him if I'm not able to ride effectively and in the correct posture. That's really important too. Obviously, I think the horse is more important when it comes to fit, but if I'm hitting the back and developing that pressure point on him because I can't get in the right position due to the restriction of the saddle, you got to take that into consideration for sure. So that's unfortunate, but that's okay. It's always trial and error. Okay, horse lovers, I hope that you found this saddle fitting video informational and educational and that you learned something. I had a lot of fun showing you the process and riding. So make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so you don't miss anything Free Spirit Equestrian, and I'll see you next time, horse lovers.